Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yatha Parakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalvita Shri Vishkam Vitam Scha Om Agyana Timaranda Shagyanajana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama Gurva Bhistam Supurakam Guraganara Sesha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samastaveda Nipanam Shri Rupa Patanugam Govinda Bidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shad Divyad Bhagavat Prem Noe Bijapradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandavaranam Balarka Chelanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Varanam Vairagya Vidyambudim Sri Siddhanta Nidim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Banditam Shubharam Manika Sharanam Nyasishvara Sridharam Vanshakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, translation and commentary by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad. This is Adi-lila chapter 13, the advent of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and I'll start with verse number 74. And I'll also mention that we have Sri Bhakti Lalita Devi with us here in Soquel. So she'll be visiting this week, and I'm sure devotees will be able to hear from her. Jai. Okay. Tabe putra janamila vishwarupanam Mahagunavan Teho Baladevadam. After this, before the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 8 daughters took birth one after another from the womb of Sachimata, the wife of Jagannath Mishra. But just after their birth, they all died. And Jagannath Mishra was very unhappy at the death of his children one after another. Therefore, desiring a son, he worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. Now the verse 74 is, after this, Jagannath Mishra got a son of the name Vishwarup, who was most powerful and highly qualified because he was an incarnation of Baladev. So, it's Vishwarup during Mahaprabhu's time as a Grihastha, married, then to first Lakshmi, and then and later to Vishnu Priya. Then we can say that Vishwarup was his brother, and when the family wanted Vishwarup to get married, then he left. And then that's about the time of Mahaprabhu's sannyas, and then taking the place of Vishwarup is Nityananda Prabhu. So, and just recently we had the Vishwarup Purnima. That was, I believe, on maybe last Sunday or something like that. So, Baladev Prakash Parama Vyome Sankarshan Teho Vishvero Upadana Nimita Karan. The expansion of Baladev, known as Shankarshan, in the spiritual world is the ingredient and immediate cause of this material cosmic manifestation. Taha Bhai Vishvekichu Nahidekyar Ateva Vishwarup Nam Jai Tahar. The gigantic universal form is called the Vishwarup incarnation of Mahashankarshan. Thus, we do not find anything within this cosmic manifestation except the Lord himself. Naitas Chitra Bhagavati Iyanante Jagad Ishware Atam Protam Idam Yasmin Tantu Shvanga Yata Pataha. As the threads in a cloth spread both lengthwise and breadthwise, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead exists directly and indirectly within everything we see in this cosmic manifestation. This is not very wonderful for him. Ateva Prabhutare Bole Borabai Krishna Balaram Dui Chaitanya Nitai. Because Mahashankarshan is the ingredient and efficient cause of the cosmic manifestation, he is present in every detail of it. Lord Chaitanya therefore called him his elder brother, his Borabai. The two brothers are known as Krishna and Balaram in the spiritual world, but at the present moment they are Chaitanya and Nitai. Therefore the conclusion is that Nityananda Prabhu is the original Shankarshan Baladeva. Putrapaya Dambati Hoila Ananditaman Visheshe Sevanakore Govinda Charan. The husband and wife, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, having gotten Vishwarup as their son, were very pleased within their minds. Because of their pleasure, they specifically began to serve the lotus feet of Govinda. And it's to me interesting. This is, you can see the divine Leela. I mean, due to some arrangement of the eternal time or the Lord's arrangement, they had 8 daughters, and one after another, and they all died. But still they continued, and then they were able to get a son who was Vishwarup. Now, normally, you cannot imagine someone having 8 children, they all died, and still persevering, trying to have another child. So, but in this is the divine Leela of the Lord. So then Vishwarup appeared. Choda Shatachai Shake Sesha Maga Mashe Jagannatha Sachira Dehe Krishnera Praveshe. In the month of January, Mag, in the year 1406 of the Saka era, AD 1485, Lord Krishna entered the bodies of both Jagannath Mishra and Sachi. Mishra Kohe Sachistane Deki Anarita Jyotirmoy Deho Geho Lakmi Adishtita. Jagannath Mishra said to Sachimata, I see wonderful things. Your body is effulgent, and it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. It appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. Jahan Tahan Sarvalok Koraye Saman Gare Pataya Dea Dana Bastradan. Anywhere and everywhere I go, all people offer me respect, even without my asking, they voluntarily give me riches, clothing, and paddy. Paddy is rice. Sachiko he mui dekon akashupare divyamurti loka sava jena stuti kore. Sachimata told her husband, I see wonderfully brilliant human beings appearing in outer space as if offering prayers. Jagannath Mishra Kohe Swapna Jadekila Jyotirmoy Dhamma Mara Hridoye Pashila. Jagannath Mishra then replied, in a dream I saw the effulgent abode of the Lord enter my heart. Amara Hridoya Hoite Gela Tomara Hridoye Hena Buji Janmi Bena Kona Mahashaye. From my heart it entered your heart. I therefore understand that a great personality will soon take birth. Eta bole du he rohe harashita haya shalagrama seva kore vishesha korea. After this conversation, both husband and wife were very jubilant, and together they rendered service to the household Shalagram Shila. Because Jagannath Mishra, he's a Brahmin and they worship in his house, the Shalagram Shila. Hoite hoite hoila garba, Trayodashamas, Tatapi, Bhumishta nahe, Mishra hoila tras. In this way, the pregnancy approached its 13th month, but still there was no sign of the delivery of the child. Thus Jagannath Mishra became greatly apprehensive. Nilambar Chakravarti Kohila Ganaya Emashe Putra Habe Shubhakana Paya. Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that's believed the maternal grandfather. Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then did an astrological calculation and said that in that very month, taking advantage of an auspicious moment, the child would take birth. Chodra Shata Shata Shake Masha Jai Falgun Purnamashir Sandhya Kale Hoile Shubhakan. Thus in the year 1407 of the Shaka era, which corresponds to 1486 of our calendar, in the month of Falgun, February, March, in the evening of the full moon day, the desired auspicious moment arrived. Simarashe Simalagna Uchagrahagan Shadvarga Ashtavarga Sarva Sulokan. According to the Jyotir Veda, or Vedic astrology, the auspicious birth moment is described as follows. The month was in Leo, the figure of the lion in the zodiac. Pardon me, I read that wrong. According to the Jyotir Veda, or Vedic astrology, the auspicious birth moment is described as follows. The moon was in Leo, the figure of the lion in the zodiac. Leo was the ascendant. Several planets were strongly positioned, and the Shadvarga and Ashtavarga showed all auspicious influences. So we already heard it's in the month of Magh, which is January. It went from the month of Magh. Oh, I forgot to turn that on. Yeah, it went from the month of, that's when Nilambar Chakravarti did his astrological calculation during the month of Magh. But this was in Falgun, the following month, February, March. And the moon was in Leo, the Lagna was Leo, and that's several planets were strongly positioned, and the Shadvarga and Ashtavarga showed all auspicious influences. So, Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, who was previously a great astrologer, explains this verse as follows. The Shadvarga, 6 divisions, are technically called Kshetra, Hora, Drekahana, Navamsha, Dwadashamsha, and Trishamsha. According to Jyotir Vedic astrology, when the relationship between the planets and the rulers of these 6 divisions is determined, the auspiciousness of the moment of birth can be calculated in the book called Brihad's Jataka and other books. There are directions for interpreting the movements of the stars and planets. One who knows the process of calculating Ashtavarga, 8 divisions, can predict auspiciousness and inauspicious events. This science is known especially by persons who are called Horashastravit, or those who know the astrological scriptures. On the strength of astrological calculations from the Hora scriptures, Nilambar Chakravarti, the grandfather of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had ascertained the auspicious moment when the Lord would appear. So it's all nice. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he was expert in this, astronomy and astrology. Srila Govinda Maharaj one time told me that 2 major frauds in this time are astrology and medical science, what do they call it? Ayurvedic. He said generally Ayurvedic physicians and astrologers are frauds. It's become that. He didn't say that astrology has no validity because he himself would knew something of that. One time he asked, when the Calcutta Book Fair was going, he asked me to purchase for him the book called Ratnakatha, which means literally something of dealing with the science of jewels for influence, astrological influence. So, but Govinda Maharaj didn't think very high. He didn't think highly of Jyotishas. Akalanka Gorachandra Dila Darashan Sakalanka Chandriyara Kon Prayojan. When the spotless moon of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became visible, what would be the need for a moon full of black marks on its body? Because the moon has craters and everything, so it appears as spotted or with black marks on its body. So when Mahaprabhu appeared, then there was a lunar eclipse. So the moon hid itself. Etajane Rahu Koila Chandra Ragrahan Krishna Krishna Hariname Mashe Tribhuvan. Considering this, Rahu, the black planet, covered the full moon, and immediately vibrations of Krishna Krishna Hari inundated the three worlds. So some people will say, well, this is, Rahu, Ketu, but if you understand what Rahu and Ketu are, you will find that since long time ago, they knew when there would be a solar or lunar eclipse, and they just describe that as the influence of Rahu, Ketu. But as we understand, the actual science of dealing with consciousness, then wherever there's consciousness, there is personality, or at least personality is ascribed to it. And where that means a person. So then they would see the sun, moon, and so many other influences as persons. And strangely, Rahu more or less corresponds to what the modern sciences refer to. I forget the term, the node, which has some influence with describing an eclipse. Jaya Jaya Dvani Hoila Sakala Bhuvan Chamatkara Hoya Log Babe Mane Man. All people thus chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra during the lunar eclipse, and their minds were struck with wonder. So people would chant during a lunar eclipse the Maha Mantra, chant Hare Krishna. When someone passes away, they'll carry the body, and then people, at least in Bengal, will hear everyone will say, Bolo Hari, Hari, and everyone's chanting like that. So during the lunar eclipse, they're chanting, and Mahaprabhu appears, accompanied by the chanting of the holy name. Jagat Bariya Lok Bole Hari Hari Sekane Gora Krishna Bhume Avatari. When the whole world was thus chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in the form of Gaurahari, advented himself on the earth. Prasanna Hoila Sab Jagateraman Hari Bole Hinduke Hashya Koraye Javan. The whole world was pleased. While the Hindus chanted the holy name of the Lord, the non-Hindus, especially the Muslims, jokingly imitated the words. So they also were chanting in imitation of the Hindus. Hari, or jokingly, Hari Bole Nari Gana De Hula Huli Swarge Vadya Nritya Kori Deva Kuta Holi. While the ladies vibrated the holy name of Hari on earth, and the heavenly planets, dancing and music were going on, for the demigods were very curious. Prasana hoila dashadik, prasana nadijal, stavara jangama hoila anande bival. In this atmosphere, all the 10 directions became jubilant, as did the waves of the rivers. Moreover, all beings, moving and non-moving, were overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. And then, now these verses are become more of the Bengali poetic form, and this is where we usually chant this during the Gaur Purnima. Nadiya Udaya Giri Purnachandra Gorahari Kripa Kore Hoila Udai Papatama Hoilanas Tri Jagat Terulas Jagabari Haridwani Hoi. Thus, by his causeless mercy, the full moon Gorahari rose in the district of Nadia, which is compared to Udayagiri, where the sun first becomes visible. His rising in the sky dissipated the darkness of sinful life, and thus the 3 worlds became joyful and chanted the holy name of the Lord. Sekali Nijaloy, Utiya Advaita Rai, Nritya Kore Anandita Mane, Haridase Loya Sange, Hungara Kirtana Range, Keninache Kehonahi Jane. At that time, Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, in his own house at Shantipur, was dancing in a pleasing mood. Taking Haridas Thakur with him, he danced and loudly chanted Hare Krishna, but why they were dancing no one could understand. Deki Uparaga Hashi, Shigra Ganga Gate Ashi, Anandite Korila Ganga Snan, Payu Uparaga Chale, Apanara Mano Bole, Brahmanere Dila Nanadan. Seeing the lunar eclipse and laughing, Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur immediately went to the bank of the Ganges and bathed in the river in great jubilation. Taking advantage of the occasion of the lunar eclipse, Advaita Acharya, by his mental strength, distributed various types of charity to the Brahmins. Jagadananda Moy, Deki Manesh, Savish Moy, Tare Tore, Kahe Haridas, Tomara, Aichana Ranga, Moramana Parasana, Deki Kichu, Karye Achebash. When he saw that the whole world was jubilant, Haridas Thakur, his mind astonished, directly and indirectly expressed himself to Advaita Acharya. Your dancing and distributing charity are very pleasing to me. I can understand that there is some special purpose in these actions. Acharya Ratna Shrivas, Hoila Mane Sukalas, Jaisnan, Koila Ganga Jale, Anande Vivalaman, Kore Hare Sankirtan, Nanadana, Koila Manobole. Acharya Ratna Chandrasekhar and Srivas Thakur were overwhelmed with joy, and immediately they went to the bank of the Ganges to bathe in her waters. Their minds full of happiness, they chanted the Hare Krishna mantra and gave charity by mental strength. Emata Bhakta Tati Charajay Deshistiti Tahan Tahan Pana Mano Bole Nache Kore Sankirtan Anande Vivalaman Danakore Grahanera Chale. In this way, all the devotees, wherever they were situated in every city and every country, danced and performed Sankirtan and gave charity by mental strength. On the plea of the lunar eclipse, their minds overwhelmed with joy. So, first of all, it says in every country. So we can take that literally, every country throughout the world, but also at that time we'll say what is Bharatvarsha, India. It consists of many countries, deshas, like, even nowadays. And they have different languages in all those different places. So they are, in that sense, countries. Bengal is one, and then you have states in South India and then North India. So. And as far as mental strength, somebody would say, what does this mean, giving charity by mental strength? Because we understand that any physical action is preceded by something happening on the subtle level. You have to at least consider what you're doing before you do it. So charity is initiated on the mental level, and then because they're so strong, mentally and spiritually, whatever they do by mental strength will also happen by physical strength. Brahmana sajjana nari nana dravye talibari aila sabe jyotika loya jena kancha sona duty deki bala keramurti ashirban kori sukabaya. All sorts of respectable Brahmin gentlemen and ladies carrying plates filled with various gifts came with their presentation, seeing the newborn child whose form resembled natural glaring gold. All of them happily offered their blessings. Savitri Gore, Saraswati, Sachi Ramba, Arundhati, Arajata Deva Narigan, Nanadravye Patra Bari, Brahmanera, Beshadori, Ashe Sabe Koridarashan, dressing themselves as the wives of Brahmins, all the celestial ladies, including the wives of Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Nrsingadev, King Indra, and Vashishta Rishi, along with Ramba, a dancing girl of heaven, came there with varieties of gifts. So Savitri, the wife of Lord Brahma, Gauri, the wife of Lord Shiva, Saraswati, the wife of Lord Nrsingadev, Sachi, the wife of King Indra, and Ramba, a dancing girl of heaven. They all came offering their blessings. And they came with gifts. Andarike Devagan, Gandharva Siddhacharan, Stute Nritya, Kore, Bhadya Gita, Nartika Varaka Bhata, Navadipe Jaranata, Sabe Asinache Bhaya Prita. In outer space, all the demigods, including the inhabitants of Gandharva Loka, Siddha Loka, and Charana Loka, offered their prayers and danced to the accompaniment of music, songs, and beating of drums. Similarly, in Navadip city, all the professional dancers, musicians, and blessers gathered together dancing in great jubilation. So dancers and musicians and blessers. So now we see a distant form of blessers. You drive in Calcutta, somebody will come with a plate of sandalwood and flour and incense, and you stop at a stoplight, they'll put some sandalwood on you and bless you. And then you give them a few coins. So those are professional blessers. Keba she keba jain, keba nache keba gai, sambalite nare korabo, kandileka dukkha shok, pramoda puritra lok, mishra hoila anande vivo. No one can understand who was coming and who was going, who was dancing and who was singing, nor could they understand one another's language. Yet all unhappiness and lamentation were immediately dissipated, and people became all jubilant. Thus Jagannath Mishra was also overwhelmed with joy. So as I mentioned before, we saw that Govinda Maharaj, he would sometimes embrace Srinivas, who originally was from Sicily, and then was living in Venezuela. And not even the Venezuelans or anyone could understand very well Srinivas. He had strong Sicilian accent, and he spoke. So Govinda Maharaj would embrace him, and he said, I don't understand his language, and he doesn't understand my language, but we are understanding each other by heart-to-heart transmissions. So, nor could they understand one another's language, yet all unhappiness and lamentation were immediately dissipated, and people became all jubilant. Thus Jagannath Mishra was also overwhelmed with joy. Acharya Ratna Srivas Jagannath Mishra Pas Ashitare Kore Samadhan Karaila Jata Karma Jay Achila Bididharma Tabe Mishra Kore Nanadan. Chandrasekhar Acharya and Srivas Thakur both came to Jagannath Mishra and drew his attention in various ways. They performed ritualistic ceremonies prescribed at the time of birth according to religious principles. Jagannath Mishra also gave varieties of charity. Jyotika Pailajat Gare Va Achilakat Sabdana Bipre Diladan Jatak Nartaka Gayana Bata Akinchanajan Dana Diya Koila Sabarman. Whatever riches Jagannath Mishra collected in the form of gifts and presentations, and whatever he had in his house, he distributed among the Brahmins, professional singers, dancers, bhattas, and the poor. He honored them all by giving them riches and charity. And as I said, bhattas are the blessers. Srivasera Brahmani Namatara Malini Acharya Ratner Patni Sange Sindura Haridra Toila Koi Kala Narikela Diya Puje Narigana Range. The wife of Srivas Thakur, whose name was Malini, accompanied by the wife of Chandrasekhar or Acharya Ratna and other ladies, came there in great jubilation to worship the baby with paraphernalia such as vermilion, turmeric oil, and koi, I guess that's translated here as fused rice, brahmanas, and coconuts. So what koi is there's puff rice that has no husk on it, and koi has like the husk from the patty still attached to the puff rice, and that koi is softer than puff rice, and it's very good for old people that don't have teeth. Advaita Charya Bharya Jagat Pujita Arya Namatara Shita Takorani Acharjera Agyapaya Gela Upahara Loya Dekite Balak Shiromani. One day, shortly after Lord Chaitanya was born, Advaita Acharya's wife, Sita Devi, sometimes called Sita Takarani, Sita Devi, was worshipable by the whole world, took her husband's permission, and went to see that topmost child with all kinds of gifts and presentations. Suvarnera Kari Boli Rajata Mudra Pashuli Suvarnera Angara Kankan Dubahute Divya Shanka Rajatera Malabanka Swarna Mudrar Nana Haragan. She brought different kinds of golden ornaments, including armlets, necklaces, anklets, and bangles for her hands. Vyagranaka Hemajari Kate Pata Sutra Dori Hasta Padera Jata Abaran Chitravarna Patasadi Buni Fota Patapari Swarna Ropya Mudra Bafudan. There were also tiger nails set in gold, waist decorations of silk and lace, ornaments for the hands and legs, nicely printed silken saris, and a child's garment also made of silk. Many other riches, including gold and silver coins, were also presented to the child. Durvadanya Gorachan, Haridra Kumkuma Chandan, Mangala Dravya Putra Varya, Vastragupta, Dolachari Sangeloya, Dashi Chedi, Vastralangar Petari Varya, riding in a palanquin covered with cloth and accompanied by maidservants, Sita Thakurani came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, bringing with her many auspicious articles such as fresh grass, paddy, gorachan, turmeric, kumkum, and sandalwood, gorachan, decoration for the cows. All these presentations filled a large basket. And at that time, the child and mother, the birth doesn't take place in the house. They make a special, like a maternal room just outside the house, and there the mother gives birth to the child. And later, after the child is born, then the mother and the child are welcomed back into the house. Bhakya Boja Upahar Sangi Loila Bahubar Sachi Grihe Hoila Upanita Dekiya Balaka Tama Sakat Gokula Kana Varna Matra Deki Viparita. When Sita Thakurani came to the house of Sachi Devi, bringing with her many kinds of eatables, dresses, and other gifts, she was astonished to see the newborn child, for she appreciated that except for a difference in color, the child was directly Krishna of Gokula himself. Sarva Anga Shunirman, Suvarna Pratimaban, Sarva Anga Sulakana Moy, Malakera Divya Jyoti, Deki Paila Bahu Priti, Vatsa Jete Dravila Ridoy. Seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his newly constructed limbs, seeing the transcendental bodily effulgence of the child, each of his nicely constructed limbs full of auspicious signs and resembling a form of gold, Sita Thakurani was very pleased, and because of her maternal affection, she felt as if her heart were melting. Dorvadanya Dila Shirshe Koila Bahu Ashishe Chira Jive How Duibai Dakine Sankine Hoite Shangupa Jila Chite Dari Nama Tuila Nimai. She blessed the newborn child by placing fresh grass and paddy on his head and saying, "May you be blessed with a long duration of life." But being afraid of ghosts and witches, she gave the child the name Nimai. Okay. Dakini and Shankini are two companions of Lord Shiva and his wife, who are supposed to be extremely inauspicious, having been born of ghostly life. It is believed that such inauspicious living creatures cannot go near a neem tree. At least medically, it is accepted that neem wood is extremely antiseptic, and formerly it was customary to have a neem tree in front of one's house. On very large roads in India, especially in Uttar Pradesh, there are hundreds and thousands of neem trees. Neem wood is so antiseptic that the Ayurvedic science uses it to cure leprosy. Medical scientists have extracted the active principle of the neem tree, which is called margosic acid. Neem is used for many purposes, especially to brush the teeth. In Indian villages, 90% of the people use neem twigs for this purpose because of all antiseptic effects of the neem tree. And because Lord Chaitanya was born beneath a neem tree, Sita Thakurani gave the Lord the name Nimai. Later in his youth, he was celebrated as Nimai Pandit, and in the neighborhood villages, he was called by that name, although his real name was Vishwambar. Okay. I don't have neem twigs, but I have neem toothpaste. Very nice. Putramata Snanadine Dila Vastra Vibhushane Putrasam Mishare Samani Sachi Mishra Pujaloya Manate Harishahoya Gare Aila Sita Takarani. On the day the mother and son bathed and left the maternity home behind the house, Sita Takarani gave them all kinds of ornaments and garments, and then also honored Jagannath Mishra. Then Sita Takarani, being honored by Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, was greatly happy within her mind, and thus she returned home. Aiche Sachi Jagannath Putra Paya Lakminath Purna Hoila Sakala Banchita Danye Barigar Lokanya Kolebar Dine Hoyanandita. In this way, Mother Sachi Devi and Jagannath Mishra, having obtained a son who was the husband of the goddess of fortune, had all their desires fulfilled. Their house was always filled with riches and grains. As they saw the beloved body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, day after day, their pleasure increased. Mishra Vaishnava Santa Alampata Shuddhadanta Dhanabhoge Nahi Abhiman Putrera Prabhavejat Dhana Ashe Miletat Vishnu Prite Dvije Denadan. Jagannath Mishra was an ideal Vaishnava. He was peaceful, restrained in sense gratification, pure and controlled. Therefore, he had no desire to enjoy material opulence. Whatever money came because of the influence of his transcendental son, he gave it in charity to the Brahmins for the satisfaction of Vishnu. Lagnagane, Harshamate, Nilambara Chakravarti, Gupte Kichu, Kohila Mishre, Mahapurushara China, Lagne Ange Bina Bina, Deki E Taribe Samsare. After calculating the birth moment of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nilambar Chakravarti privately said to Jagannath Mishra that he saw all the different symptoms of a great personality in both the body and birth moment of the child. Thus he understood that in the future this child would deliver all the three worlds. Aiche Prabhu Sachigare Kripai Koila Avatare Jai Iha Koraye Shravan Gora Prabhu Doyamoy Tare Hoyenas Sadoy Sepaya Taharacharan. In this way, Lord Chaitanya, out of his causeless mercy, made his advent in the house of Sachi Devi. Lord Chaitanya is very merciful to anyone who hears this narration of his birth, and thus such a person attains the lotus feet of the Lord. Paya Manusya Janma Chena Shune Goragan Paya Manusya Janma Jena Shune Goragun. Let's see. I can't read one of the letters, so I want to just try this. Okay, yeah. Paya Manusya Janma Jena Shune Goragun Hena Janma Tara Vyarta Hoila Paya Amrita Duni Piye Vishvagarta Pani Janmiya Se Keni Nahi Moila. Anyone who attains the human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Duni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body one drinks the water in a poisonous pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, it would be better for that person not to have lived but to have died long ago. Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Charya Advaita Chandra Swarup Rupa Raghunatha Das Iha Savara Sri Charana Shere Bande Nijadana Janma Lila Gaila Krishnadas. Taking on my head as my own property the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Acharya Advaita Chandra, Swarup Damodar, Rupa Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami, I, Krishnadas Kaviraj, have thus described the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi-lila, 13th chapter, describing the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So before that, we heard in the Adi-lila, we heard the auspicious invocation, Mangala Charan. We heard 14 Sanskrit verses giving us what Srila Maharaj describes as the ontology, that we're understanding who all the personalities involved in the Leela, then the description of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although in the 7th chapter describing the Panchatattva, that then proceeds to when Mahaprabhu had already taken sannyas and he goes to Varanasi and converts all the Mayavad sannyasis. That's a little, but actually the Leela begins in this chapter, the 13th chapter, which is the birth or appearance of Mahaprabhu. So that's, and then there'll be a few more verses of the Adi-lila, through more chapters of the Adi-lila, and then we'll proceed to Madhya and Madhya-lila and Antya-lila. So now we can sing. We'll sing Hari Harai and proceed.
Question. Did you say that Mother Sachi nicknamed him Nimai just to protect him against ghosts?
No, it was Sita Takarani who gave him the name Nimai.
But to protect him from ghosts?
Yeah, and also he was born underneath a neem tree, and neem trees are very auspicious, as we heard. So it's a protective name, good name.
Must have been a maternity room with a neem tree
Nearby, yes, right next to it.
above it.
Okay. All right. That's very nice. And we chant on Gaur Purnima, we chant these verses, they sing these verses. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jaravaya Nama Jaravaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopa Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra Dharadhara Shiva Sadi Gora Bhaktivedanta sai jabe baje koilaban. Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Bhatan. Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Majai Aman. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan. Hare Naam Sankirtan Kohai Narasamudan. Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriyan. Hare Naam Sankirtan Kohai Narasamudan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Guranga Gandharvika Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Tilak Nehri Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravajakacharya Ashtatara Sata Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishoredas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivedanta Thakur ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunashi Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunath Shad Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Premsigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadan Harshivasadi Shri Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai. Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Vishwavaranya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupad ki jai. Jai Srila Bhakti Kusham Ashram Maharaj ki jai. Jai Sri Lalita Devi ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.